A Russian soldier traveling by bicycle across the front line became the focus of Ukrainian drone operators. Unaware of the approaching threat, he continued forward. Soon, an FPV drone from Ukraine's 414th UAV Brigade advanced toward his position. When the soldier finally noticed the drone, he stopped, realizing there was no clear route for escape. Moments later, the FPV drone carried out a precise strike on his location. A Ukrainian fiber-optic guided drone targeted a stationary Russian military vehicle. A soldier inside attempted to exit and move away at the last moment, but the strike reached the vehicle before he could get clear. The drone quickly locks onto the target and delivers a precision strike, halting his escape attempt. Subsequent footage shows Russian troops walking across open fields toward their positions, unaware they are being observed. Suddenly, FPV drones engage. One soldier takes the initial impact and stumbles forward before collapsing. Another is hit and rendered unable to continue moving. A Russian service member seeks cover in a shallow pit, hoping to avoid drone detection. An FPV strikes the area, but he manages to crawl out, visibly disoriented. Believing he still has a chance, he runs to another hiding spot beneath tree branches. Hoping that remaining still will conceal him, he freezes in place. However, drones can detect even subtle motion. Soon he is located again, and a single precise strike brings the pursuit to an end. Two Russian soldiers are observed moving across Ukrainian fields toward their positions, unexpectedly choosing an exposed route. Reconnaissance drones track their movement, and an FPV drone is launched. As the sound of the drone grows louder, the soldiers attempt to remain motionless, likely hoping to avoid detection. The first FPV drone delivers a strike on one soldier, neutralizing him. The second soldier, disoriented by the nearby impact, loses situational awareness. A follow-up FPV drone is deployed and successfully neutralizes him as well. An FPV drone operation unfolds. Ukrainian operators identify a group of Russian troops moving through a tree line toward their positions. As the sound of drones becomes audible, the Russian soldiers disperse, some taking cover behind trees, others in the brush, but evasion proves impossible. The FPV drones pursue each target with high precision, neutralizing them one after another to prevent any breakthrough. At one point, a Russian soldier emerges into open terrain from his trench and attempts to fire at an incoming FPV drone with a small arm, but the effort proves futile. The drone closes in rapidly, impacting his position as he shoots. Another soldier moves to assist his injured comrade but, under continuing pressure, is forced to withdraw. In another sequence, a Russian service member moves across open terrain, attempting to evade an incoming FPV drone. During the attempt, he stumbles and falls, leaving him exposed to the approaching strike. Another group of Russian soldiers is spotted on the move. Two attempt to retreat together but are neutralized while running. Another raises his weapon to return fire but is struck before he can take a shot. The final soldier dives into the water, hoping to remain concealed, but the drone continues tracking from above, detecting the movement in the water and ultimately ending the attempt. In a pivotal moment, a drone delivers a direct and precise strike on a Russian service member, neutralizing him instantly. Two Russian service members make the mistake of lying in an open field, believing it will help them avoid detection. Instead, drones quickly lock onto their exposed positions. Each is targeted in turn, demonstrating that open terrain provides little protection from FPV drones. Another Russian soldier attempts to hide in tall grass. The first strike lands nearby, causing a shockwave that startles him. He begins to run, and his second drone moves in pursuit. This time, the FPV connects directly, rendering the target combat ineffective. A similar case follows. A Russian, unable to reach his positions, hides in tall grass. The first drone seriously injures him, leaving him unresponsive and prone. Operators confirm limited movement and authorize a second engagement. Still not satisfied, they launch a third FPV to complete the mission. The final engagement confirms the target is no longer a threat. FPV drones also serve to restrict terrain access. Here, one drone targets an anti-tank crossing equipped with explosives. The impact sets off the mines, collapsing the path and preventing vehicle passage. This not only disables the crossing but also slows opposing logistics. Next, a Russian motorcycle becomes the target. The FPV strikes with precision, igniting a large fire. The blaze engulfs the bike completely, leaving it severely damaged and unusable. Now we see a compilation of abandoned Russian vehicles along a road. Troops often retreat on foot when FPV drones approach, leaving their equipment behind. Ukrainian drones systematically disable each vehicle to prevent reuse. The first strike renders one vehicle inoperative. The second vehicle catches fire after impact, with the flames fully engulfing it. The video begins with Ukrainian defenders engaged in close-quarters combat. Armed only with small arms, they push forward against Russian troops hiding inside abandoned residential houses. The air is thick with dust and tension as each burst of gunfire echoes through the ruins. Every step is dangerous, moving from one building to the next, carefully clearing each room and corner. The soldiers know that even a single hidden fighter can turn deadly in seconds. Courage and coordination are their only shield in this unforgiving landscape. Ukrainian infantry secure each structure to make sure there are no surprises left behind. After precision FPV drone strikes soften the enemy, infantry advance, inspecting the aftermath of the hits and searching houses one by one to ensure the area is safe. Their determination turns chaos into control, inch by inch. Once the buildings are checked, Ukrainian forces place anti-personnel mines to deter the enemy from reoccupying the houses later. If opposing troops attempt to return, those devices are intended to impede their movement and deny access. After planting the mines, the defenders clear the final hostile pockets by employing small explosive charges through windows in a systematic manner. Each detonation reverberates through the structure. Voices are then heard from inside, someone calls out, offering to surrender. A Russian emerges cautiously with hands raised. He is taken into custody, escorted to a nearby tree, and secured. With the surrender concluded, Ukrainian forces continue fortifying the area, laying additional obstacles along the nearby road to restrict future enemy movement. Drone operators from the Falcon Squad, part of the Ukrainian Army's 57th Mechanized Brigade, carried out a precision strike to neutralize opposing forces using the underside of a bridge as a shelter. They then successfully maneuvered into a position targeting a location where Russian personnel were reportedly taking cover inside a building. The Russian personnel appeared to panic upon spotting the FPV drone in close proximity. The drone operators executed their strike with such precision that it left the opposing forces visibly stunned. This is due to their ability to navigate through even the smallest openings, allowing them to carry out highly accurate and effective strikes. Ukraine's 210th Special Purpose Battalion carried out a direct FPV drone strike on the basement of a 9-story building where, according to reports, several Russian soldiers were positioned. Ukraine's 14th Mechanized Brigade identified a Russian soldier attempting to conceal himself in a field near Vilshana in the Kharkiv region. He began running in an attempt to evade an approaching FPV drone. The Russian soldier, who managed to avoid the drone for some time, eventually became exhausted and was ultimately targeted. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted a Russian soldier but missed and crashed nearby. The Russian soldier made a critical error by assuming the drone posed no further threat. 2 Russian soldiers were pursued by a Ukrainian FPV loitering drone. One of the soldiers, attempting to evade quickly, chose to stop and fire at the incoming drone. However, after failing to neutralize it, he became exposed and was subsequently targeted by the drone. A group of Russian soldiers was detected among the ruins in the Andrika area by Ukraine's 414th Unmanned Strike Aviation Brigade. For some time, their movements were closely observed by Ukrainian drones, tracking each step and waiting for the right opportunity to engage. The soldiers were seen carrying fuel containers. The FPV drone operator remained patient, holding position until the ideal moment for action. When the Russian soldiers gathered and moved toward a damaged building, they finally noticed the drone observing them but chose an ineffective hiding spot. As the FPV drone approached, it maneuvered directly in front of the Russian troops, who were left fully exposed. The drone then delivered a precise strike to the fuel container they were carrying. The Ukrainian Signum unit engaged Russian armored vehicles in pursuit operations. A fast-moving T-72 tank was targeted by an FPV drone. Realizing the drone was closing in, the tank attempted to accelerate, but evading the strike proved impossible. The engagements didn't end there. In the Lyman region, additional Russian tanks attempting to conceal themselves from drone observation were also detected and struck. Russian forces continued to repeat critical tactical errors on the front lines, leaving essential armored vehicles exposed and vulnerable to precision drone attacks. Russian forces attempted to infiltrate Ukrainian positions. Following successful defensive actions by Ukrainian troops, the opposing assault was repelled. An enemy infantryman was observed taking cover near damaged structures. However, upon noticing Ukrainian drones, the Russian infantryman began to flee toward open terrain. A Ukrainian FPV kamikaze drone quickly intercepted him. The drone struck the fleeing soldier with a powerful impact, resulting in a massive explosion. The soldier was wounded and could no longer move swiftly. Refusing to surrender, he remained on the ground. Ukrainian troops then deployed a second FPV drone, which locked onto the target. With precision, the drone descended rapidly from above and delivered a devastating final strike. This time there was an even more powerful blast. The impact of the explosion rendered the opposing infantry unit inoperative. Russian soldiers were observed moving toward the front line in the Avdiivka area. Their apparent lack of coordination and discipline in the combat zone was notable. Throughout the summer, a substantial number of newly deployed Russian reinforcements have arrived at the Ukrainian front. A Russian Ural truck and a D-30 howitzer were neutralized by the Ukrainian 422nd UAS Battalion Luftwaffe in the Kamyansk direction of southern Ukraine. A Ukrainian FPV drone intercepted a Russian Mavic carrying ammunition using a net-based interception system. The deployed net successfully disabled the Russian drone, and the onboard ammunition detonated upon impact. Ukrainian Army FPV drones conducted a precise ambush on enemy vehicles in the Donetsk region. Ukrainian forces established a strategic ambush using fiber optic controlled drones along the enemy army's route. The drones remained positioned in the middle of the road. As soon as Russian vehicles entered the engagement zone, the drones promptly initiated their attack. Enemy forces were unable to evade the drone strikes. Ukrainian forces successfully established a decisive trap for the enemy during this operation. Enemy units moving through this route were effectively neutralized. At the same time, Russian armored vehicles were severely damaged. These drones demonstrate higher resistance to electronic warfare systems because they are controlled through fiber optic cables rather than conventional radio signals. Fiber optic drones are capable of conducting long-duration and reliable reconnaissance or attack missions without interference from enemy signals. Ukraine's 414th Strike UAV Brigade conducted drone strikes on Russian military vehicles attempting to evade detection by using camouflage. One vehicle hidden among the trees was completely destroyed. But the strikes did not end there. Multiple ambushes were carried out along known movement routes, targeting vehicles that had already lost mobility. These Russian vehicles, often used to transport weapons, ammunition, and supplies to frontline positions, continue to be systematically targeted and neutralized by Ukrainian drones.